Welcome to From the Magazine, a podcast of Holiness Today, where you will hear from our authors and editors about everyday faith. On today's episode, you will hear from Simone Twibell, Director of Intercultural Studies and Missions at Olivett Nazarene University. She will be discussing intercessory prayer in the life of the believer.
My name is Simone Twibell, and I am the Director of Intercultural Studies and Missions at Olivett Nazarene University. I would like to share just a few words about the role of prayer and intercession in the lives of Christians. From the experience of countless missionaries and revivalists around the world, it will do us well to remember that methods and strategies will prove insufficient in our calling to evangelism and disciple-making unless we recover the urgency of intercession for lost souls and for the full redemption and restoration of our human brokenness. Isaiah 59:16 says that God saw that there was no one, and he wondered that there was no one to intercede. Then his own arm brought him salvation, and his own righteousness upheld him. God is always looking for individuals to partner with him in his work of redemption, salvation, and restoration around the world. And he looks for intercessors who will hear his heartbeat for the world and listen and obey his calling to rescue those who are perishing. By humbling ourselves in dependence upon the Father and carrying each other's burdens, we realize that we do not exist for our sake, but rather we exist for the glory of God and his mission. We find men and women in the Bible who walked with God and had an intimate relationship with him. Their great accomplishments did not come as a result of their own initiation. Rather, they came as a result of partnering with the grace of God already at work in them through fervent, incessant, intercessory prayer. The truth of the matter is that without prayer, our spirit becomes frail, weak, powerless, cold. And there are really no shortcuts to seeing God's kingdom come on earth other than through intercessory prayer. Now, today there's a lot of discussion on prayer strategies in prayer circles. If we pray this way, we will see the walls come down. Pray this way and you get your breakthrough. But there are no right ways to pray except for one, the prayer that prevails through the valleys, the deserts, the wastelands, the ups and downs of life, the prayer that never, ever gives up. Oh, there's a lot of men and women throughout history who have left a wonderful legacy for us to model and follow. Men and women of prayer around the world. But there are perhaps no better examples than the examples in the Bible itself. Men and women who heard the voice of God and who listened and obeyed. Let's consider Abraham, for example, who moved on God when God was about to destroy Sodom for their great sin and said to God, far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous and the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike, far be it from you. And as long as Abraham stood, Abraham received. Let's also remember Jacob, who wrestled with an angel all night long and cried out, I will not let you go until you bless me. Jacob had to have God's blessing, and he wouldn't quit. He wouldn't let go until he had it. And he got it. And then there were the prophets, whose unique calling involved a life of prayer. Elisha, Jeremiah, Elijah, Ezekiel. The miracles they did, the legacy they left behind could have never been possible had they not walked closely with their God. And there were the women, like Esther, who cried out, if I perish, but I will go. And Hannah, who year after year wept bitterly, and one day in her anguish made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord. Her request was granted, and her son became one of the greatest figures in Israelites' history, exerting multiple roles as a prophet, high priest, and judge. Bible history shows and confirms that absolutely nothing of eternal significance happens if we don't pray. there's a lesson to be learned in all of this, is the principle of gravity. Whatever goes up must come down. As our prayers rise, then God's blessings descend. Intercession is a privilege, a duty, a calling which all Christians are called to exert to one degree or another as we plead with God for his intervention and direction on earth.
Thank you for listening to the Holiness Today podcast. If you enjoyed this production and wish to hear more, visit holinesstoday.org/podcast or find us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.